Welcome to Taking Care of Business on News Talk 1180 KERN for the best in Saturday Talk Radio at 1 o'clock and on 1230 KGEO at 10 o'clock Saturday. And for the best in Wednesday Talk Radio on 1410 KERI, the Christian station. We're now on 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and also 3 times a week on the internet nationwide through knuckmedia.com. Plus, you can catch any of our shows for the last 4 years on the internet at Clay and Marty Show. Your host is Clay Koerner, and I'm Marty Pay, and our producer is Greg Held. Hey, Clay, that was a great show last week with Diane Keefe from Benistar, and then we also had as our first guest David Barton.
I'll tell you, I went to an event this past couple of nights ago in God We Trust, and David Barton was a speaker. You know, David Barton is an expert on the Constitution and godly heritage of America. He did a great job. They also had Brad Dacus there. And Brad's been on our show several times.
Yes.
And he's with the Pacific Justice Institute, and it was a fantastic show. And then just the other night, we had a dinner at the fair honoring Greg Gallion, who's really taken the Houchin Blood Bank to unbelievable levels. He's turned that whole thing around, and they've got the neatest campus in Bakersfield right now. So there's a lot going on.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, today we've got a great show. In the second half, we have a guest we've had on before, Johnny Erickson Tata, who's got a great book out called Johnny and Ken, an Untold Love Story. And plus she did a song that was nominated for an Academy Award and all of a sudden was pulled.
Which made it more famous, the fact that it was pulled.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So she's our second guest. But our first guest is talking about one of Clay's favorite subjects. You wouldn't know what that subject is, would you?
Well, you know, it's not just my favorite subject. It's a subject that every large employer needs to be aware of.
Yeah,
and they need strategies to solve the problem.
Yes, because, in her book, she made a comment that I guess the IRS is going to collect, in her estimation, $130 billion from employers who fail to comply in the next 10 years. That's a lot of money.
And that's not going to be enough money to subsidize what they're giving away.
Yeah, that's incredible. Our next guest wrote an incredible book, The Employer's Guide to Obamacare, Kaya Bromley.
Kaya, thanks for joining us today. We're looking forward to talking to you about your book, The Employer's Guide to Obamacare. I have to tell you, I've read this book a couple of times, and I've developed a paper off of it. This has been the most informative book that I have read regarding Obamacare. It's factual, it's straight to the point, and it's not a lot of politics. Tell me what caused you to write this book.
Well, thanks for having me, Clay. Yeah, you got it. Exactly the reason I wrote it was what you got out of it. So I represent a ton of franchisee clients and farm labor clients, and when I was learning this, through a couple of years ago, the seminars and the webinars I sat in on were so confusing. And once I got into the law, I realized it's not that confusing. So I actually wrote a guide first. The first ebook that I wrote was really for me to summarize the law so that I could easily reference it. But then I started handing it out to my clients so that they could understand it without all the confusion. And it turned into a book. And so then I actually got it published last year. And the purpose is so that a regular employer who didn't go to law school can understand the law.
Well, and I'm telling you, this is the biggest problem that employers have. They really don't know what to do. And I know you're going to be visiting with us on November 11th at a meeting. We're having a lunch meeting at Marie Callender's restaurant, and I want to invite some of our business guests to come to that luncheon because I think they can gather a lot of great information. Now, one of the things that I've always had a question on, and I keep getting questioned on, is the look back. How to determine who's a full-time employee. And I guess there's 2 ways they can determine that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. The look back, let me go back to something else you said, that people are not paying attention to it. The look back is one of the reasons why I have the most concern. I talk to brokers all the time, and one of them recently told me that he wasn't too worried about it because his clients aren't really asking him about it. And I said, that's sort of like watching your neighbor's house burn down, and you know that they're asleep inside, and you don't try to wake them up. Because those of us who know what's going on with the ACA knows that it's going to be really expensive. And we can't sit back and not warn our clients. And the reason I say this related to the look-back method is because it's extremely complicated, and it's extremely confusing. And so my organization, Your Obamacare Advisors, we help employers to figure out their look-back. I can't tell you one single case that we didn't fix something that was going to cost them a lot of money. Because even the ones that think that they're complying and think that they understand it, they miss something. Like, for example, I had a client the other day who thought that they did it correctly, and they were counting their employees wrong, and they realized that they thought they had only 115 full-time employees. After we did their look back, they had more like 500 because they counted wrong. That is a really big deal. So the two methods of counting are, one, the monthly measurement method, and the other is the look-back method. And it depends on the way that you do your labor, the way that you do your hours, how many variable hour employees, how you choose which one is best for you. It's not a real easy black and white answer. You have to really dig into it. And what I tell clients all the time is, if there's anywhere that you're going to hire someone to help you, it's the look back method.
And who do clients go to get someone to do the look back for them?
Well, so there's a lot of insurance brokers that are doing it, and they're doing a great job. Our organization does it, your Obamacare advisors, and my team is all ERISA attorneys. So we know that we're doing it right. Sometimes I've had people who've had it done by Obamacare expert consultants, and they didn't get it. So you have to be really careful who you're getting it done by.
Well, it's like filing a tax return. No two people ever get the same answer.
Exactly.
Now, and
this one, though, the problem with this one, though, is if you get this one wrong, the penalty of the A penalty, the $2,000 per employee, it gets assessed on everyone. So even if you were complying, and let's say you complied and you got it right for 50% of your employees, and let's say that's 200 people, but you messed up for another 150, you have to pay that penalty on all of them, even the ones that you were offering insurance.
So that group you talked about earlier that had 500, they would have had to pay a penalty on 500 people?
They would have, but the other thing that I'm trying to teach people is, and we were able, because they did this now and not after January 1st, we're able to help them. So there are strategies out there that help employers stay out of that A penalty. And for that group in particular, I recommended that they do one of those strategies, that they not mess around with thinking they're going to count their employees right. They have to do a strategy that just guarantees compliance.
Why don't you do a quick selfish plug for your Obamacare advisors?
Yeah, absolutely. So it started just with me at first. I was representing the Jack in the Box Franchise Association, and they all needed to know about Obamacare. And so slowly I started representing the McDonald's franchisees, Burger King franchisees, and realized that there was a big need for this. So now I have a team of attorneys that work for me. We not only do the look-back method and ACA compliance, we also help with the other laws that come into play. So, for example, a lot of people don't realize that they are supposed to have a plan document done. And the penalties for not having a plan document can be even worse than the ACA penalties. And it was something that was always required, but they were never auditing for this unless you were in litigation or you got in trouble. The difference is now they're actively auditing for these documents. So our organization can help with everything from ACA to plan documents, and it's your Obamacare advisors, and you can contact us on the website.
So how would they? It's just called www.yourobamacareadvisors.com?
That's correct.
And if there's a phone number they can call?
Yep, they can call. The number is on the website, but I can also give you the number right here. You'd think I'd know it by heart.
Yeah, you don't call it.
775-624-5655.
So 775-624-5655, and they'll talk to you or one of your attorneys about, I guess it's putting up a program of all the documents that are required under Obamacare, as well as talking about doing the look back. And
exactly.
And there's several other things too.
What we specialize in, Clay, is we specialize in strategy. We don't, we help people to get compliant, but the bigger thing, and as you know from my book, where I'm more focused on is strategy. And there are a lot of strategies available for employers to deal with this and not lose their shirt.
Well, that's where I've been, working on strategies. I mean, there's a program out in New York I'm contracted with called Benestream. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's a way to move the lower cost or the lower income employees into Medi-Cal or Medicaid, and then they don't have to. The group would offer them benefits, but they most likely they wouldn't take the group's benefits, and so rather than paying thousands of dollars, they pay $240 a year, which is a great strategy. Then there's the mini plans, and then there's the Freedom Plan, which I believe you're associated with. There's just a number of different plans.
Yes, and I did. I helped write the Freedom Care program, and I advised them still on their ACA compliance. But the Benestream is a great one too. One of the things that I'm seeing, and I don't know if you're seeing this too, but I've seen a lot of clients that, and large ones, like large franchise names that you'd be shocked that they missed this. They're implementing a strategy where if they know someone is eligible for Medicaid or VA benefits or on a spouse's plan, they don't think that they have to offer the benefits. Now, you know as well as I knew that they do,
right.
And by not offering it, they could trigger that A penalty for every one of their full-time employees.
Well, let's come back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll talk about that.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.